Well, greetings, friend. This is Pastor Steve from over at the Meadow Drive Baptist Church. I'm glad you joined us today. I hope you get a blessing out of the broadcast. The Unstoppables broadcast is simply a time where we try to encourage you to do the best you can do, be the best you can be, try to encourage you in keeping your attitude up and just keeping a good outlook on life. I know things are bad out there. Sometimes things are tough. Sometimes things happen. But, hey, life's good. And it's getting better all the time. And we need to look at life from a positive aspect and realize that all things work together for good. It's all going to work out. You know, I was laughing. I didn't get a whole lot done this week. It's been a bad week. I went over to the... Let me turn my timer on there. Went over to the DRC Tuesday and was speaking to the fellows over there. And probably I've been going over there a couple of months now, and that was probably the best time I ever had over there. The guys were attentive; they weren't coming in and out like they do sometimes, and several of them were listening, several of them were paying attention, and more so than regular. DRC is the Daily Reporting Center for the Alabama Board of Pardons and Paroles, and I go there once a week to try to encourage the guys that they can change their lives. They can turn their lives around. It doesn't matter how bad it's gotten, doesn't matter how bad things are. You can always change your outlook. Don't let somebody else's opinion of you be your opinion of you. And I said, you guys are a bunch of cons. You a bunch of con men. You a bunch of parolees. I said, that's not what you are. That doesn't have to be what you are. Don't let anybody else write your story. You can write your own story. And I talked about the time when it was a time when I was homeless. But I was homeless on the outside, but that wasn't my attitude. You know, my attitude was this is a temporary bump in the road, and it's all going to work out. And so don't let somebody else's opinion of you direct you and define you and be you. And trying to encourage the guys. And I spoke I went about 30 minutes, and then toward the end of my time, as I was beginning to wind it down, started having these sharp pains in my lower back, and I thought, well, I don't know what this is, but I'll walk it off, so I was gonna leave, but a couple of the men came down and they wanted me to have prayer with them, and so I had prayer with them. There's two of them that came down. I had prayer with them, and in fact, one of them I'm gonna meet for lunch day after tomorrow and try to encourage him. You give yourself to the ones who you think are listening. The ones there's one guy that he sits there like this the whole time. He don't want to be in there. His body's there, but his mind's not there. But Tuesday it was really good. A lot of the guys paid attention, but started having some terrible pain on the left, and I had to go up to the hospital to see one of my church members. And by the time I got up to the third floor to stop by and see Regina drop something off, I could barely walk. And it was hurting that bad. And of course, you probably know, if you've had them, kidney stones. I've never had one before. This was my first experience with a kidney stone. And so I told Regina, I said, I can't go see a nurse. I'm going home. And she said, you really need to go to the hospital. And so I got in the car, was trying to get out of the parking garage. It was torture trying to get out of the parking garage with hurting as bad as I was hurting. I bent over and almost throwing up, nauseous, and it was that bad. And so she called her mother. Her mother's going to come pick me up at the house and take me to the Madison ER in case they give me some pain medicine or something and I can't drive. Well, about halfway home, it quit hurting. And so, I called her. I said, look, hey, it's fine. I'm feeling good. It's not hurting anymore. I don't need to go. She said, no, you need to go. And I said, no, it's okay. And she said, no, you need to go. So when I got off the phone with her, I called her mother. And the first thing her mother said was, I'm on my way. I said, don't worry about it. Take your time. I quit hurting. I said, you really think I need to go to the doctor? And she said, yes. Well, Regina's a nurse. Her mother's a nurse. Her sister's a nurse. Her daughter's a nurse. I ain't got a chance. I'm going to the doctor. So I went to the hospital, and they x-rayed it and said, yeah, you had a kidney stone, but you passed it. It's in your bladder. But they said there's a spot on your lungs. And so today, I'm doing this on Thursday, I just got back from the lung doctor, and I'm going to have tests next Friday and then get the results. But he said it didn't look bad. But I was thinking, how that you go forward in life, and you try to do your best. You're trying to do your best, and things come up. Things come up to hinder you. Things come up to, maybe try to stop you, try to stall you. But if you'll just keep plugging away, the Lord will work circumstances around where things turn out good. Now, I didn't want a kidney stone. Who wants a kidney stone? I don't want another kidney stone. What was that? I don't want another kidney stone. But if it takes getting a kidney stone to find out you got a spot on your lungs and can get that taken care of, then give me the kidney stone. There's a verse in the Bible that says all things work together for good to them that love God. And the principle is, if you're doing right, if you're sowing good, sowing and reaping again, if you're sowing good, if you got a good attitude, good's going to come back to you. If you look at everything as bad, bad's going to come back to you. See, you got to choose. You got the ability to change. You can change your life, and you just have to decide to do it. It's kind of like you take a tea bag and you decide, and I've used this illustration with say I'm going to start feeding on the Word of God. I'm going to start memorizing, meditating on the Word of God. And so you start, you say, I'm going to make a difference in my life. I'm going to start reading the Bible, or I'm going to start doing better. I'm going to start, I'm going to turn over a new leaf. I'm going to choose to have a good attitude. And so as you do that, you say, I'm going to choose to do that, and that's what's going to be in my life. And you choose, what you're doing, you're taking that in. You're taking something from outside, and you're taking it in. Now, we'll get back to this in a minute. Just keep an eye on this, would you? And I hope I don't forget it. That's why I set the timer, so I know that I had it up there. But keep an eye on it. But we live our lives, and it's like we're living our lives like a lottery. We're hoping one day we'll hit it big. When in reality, we have got to take charge of our lives, and we've got to be aware of what's going on in your life, and look at your life. Honestly, look at your life and ask yourself the question: am I doing what I need to be doing to be successful in my life? I took Regina to work. I took her Monday and Tuesday. I guess it was Tuesday morning when I took her, because there were people going to work. Monday was holiday, so nobody would be going to work much. And so, but I took her to the hospital and dropped her off, and then I came back. And sometimes I get off on Old Madison Pike. And so I got off on Old Madison Pike, and I came to the light by Bridge Street, the light where you turn off of Rideout Road or Research Park Boulevard, depending on how long you've been here in the area. But I passed that, and I went through that light, and the next light I was coming up to, there was a couple of cement trucks in the left lane, in the turn lane, turning to go down toward Cabela's. There's some construction going on down there, and there was a pickup truck in the left lane next to the turn lane, and the guy was you could tell he was headed to work. He had a construction truck and a pickup truck, a bunch of stuff in the back, and as I was pulling up behind him, the light turned green for the cement trucks to turn left, and they started going, but it's still red for us. It wasn't green. But the guy in the pickup truck, he drove on. He drove through the red light. Now, I was just laughing at it, because we've all done that. You've done that too. You've been sitting there paying attention to something else, and somebody moved next to you, and you start to go. But see, what happened was, he let somebody in another lane influence him, and he wasn't paying attention to what he was doing. Now, you're responsible for what you do. You're responsible for your lane. I kid about having a pet peeve against people that run red lights, and not the way he ran it. I mean, he wasn't thinking and ran it. What I don't like is people that the light will turn yellow and they'll floor it, and sometimes they don't make it through. That's dangerous. Somebody could get hurt. But this guy was not paying attention to what he's doing, and he ran the red light. He wasn't paying attention to what was going on in his lane. And that's what we do. We forget to look at what's going on in our lane. We look at what everybody else is doing. We look at what other people are doing. We let them influence us. And we don't realize that we are responsible for our lives. There's a verse in 2 Corinthians. In 2 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse number 12, it says, "For we dare not make ourselves of the number, or compare ourselves with some that commend themselves, but they measuring themselves by themselves and comparing themselves among themselves are not wise." And what he says there, look, don't judge your progress by somebody else. You know, and there's a story of the guys who got the talents, and I've talked about that before, how that one guy got 5, and the guy who got 5 was responsible for 5, and the guy who got 2 was responsible for 2, and the guy who got 1 was responsible for 1. Pay attention to your lane. Pay attention to what you got. You know, what we want to do, and we do it, we want to look at somebody, we want to find somebody who's not doing as well as we are. You know, if I'm going to compare myself to somebody, I'm not going to compare myself to one of these heart doctors down at the hospital. I'm not going to compare myself to an airline pilot or some big businessman somewhere. If I'm going to judge my progress in life, I'm going to go down to the mission. And I'm going to go down to the place where the homeless camp is. I'm going to compare myself to them because I feel better then. You know, I feel like, well, hey, man, I may be bad, but I ain't as bad as he is. That's what we do. We want to think, well, I may be bad, but I'm not as bad as other people. Well, don't compare yourself among yourself. You compare yourself with what you could be. Compare yourself with the potential you've got in your life. You could do more. You could be more. You could have more. You see, the great thing is, we can have more and we can be more because we can change our life. We make those choices, but you gotta make the choice. You gotta believe that it's possible. You gotta believe, yeah, it is possible. It is possible that I can make a difference in my life. It is possible that I can make a change in my life. It is possible that I can have good things in my life, but don't coast through life. Take charge of your life. Stay in your lane and go forward. Make progress. You know, you got people all the time say, I'm going to change this, I'm going to do that. I hear guys say, well, I need a wife, I need a helpmeet. I say, helpmeet? What are you doing? What's she going to help you do? You ain't doing anything. Get busy. Do something. I ask the guys every week, and I ask you from time to time, what have you done over the last 7 days to make your life in the future any better? Because you realize in 5 years you're going to be somewhere. I mean, unless you die, unless you assume room temperature, you're going to be somewhere. And if you don't take charge of your life, you know, look at your life right now. Does your life stink? I mean, does your life suck? You know, some people's attitude is life sucks, then you die. That's awful. It's a good life. Life is good. Life really is good. I mean, even on our worst days, life is good. Even on our bad days, life is good. And we look at things, and I'll be honest, you know, I was tempted to get down the last couple of days. The last couple of days, let me see what my timer's doing here. The last couple of days, I was kind of tempted to get down because I thought, man, a spot on my lungs. I don't know that I've ever had a spot on my lungs before. They asked me, filling out the thing, said, did you smoke, or have you ever smoked? I said, yeah, I smoked. I quit smoking back in 1976 when cigarettes were 65 cents a pack. That was a long time ago. But I got tempted to get down. I was tempted, you know, I was tempted to kind of like, man, wouldn't you know it? Here I am, things are going great, and I'm about to die, you know. I know it's cancer. I know I'm dying. I know this. I know it's over. It's over. We look at life that way. I do. I don't know. Maybe you don't, but I have to make myself get up. I have to make myself look up. But see, if you do it long enough, it becomes automatic. If you pull yourself up and make yourself look up, like I did the haka the other day, you know, you reach down inside and you pull that up and you lift yourself up and say, I'm going to have a good attitude. But if you'll sow good seeds, if you'll sow positive attitude, if you'll sow the good, you'll reap the good. Whatever you sow, that's what you're going to reap. Now, I know I call it sowing and reaping because that comes from the Bible. But other people, you know, who don't believe the Bible or don't want to use the Bible, they'll call it something else. But the more I listen to and the more I hear and read people talking about the motivational, you know, tapes and ministry and the motivational, inspirational self-help, all that stuff is from the Bible. All that stuff comes from the Bible. They just leave the Bible out and people think, oh, that's just smart stuff right there. That's just, you know, I've heard them say, you know, if you'll sow positive thoughts, you'll reap positive things. Well, that's having a positive attitude. That's sowing and reaping again. But it's from the Bible. People don't like to hear it when you come from the Bible. But you know, in Luke chapter 6, verse number 38, it says, that if you give, that men say give. If you'll give, men will give to you. Say give, you know, press down, running over. But then it says, shall men give into your bosom? They're going to give back to you. In fact, my mind's sort of going blank here for a minute. Let me just read the thing here to you so I can be correct and you'll know exactly what it says. because it's good. It says, give and it shall be given unto you. Now that's sowing and reaping. But no, we don't like to hear the Bible. Well, it's true though. Give and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, shall men give into your bosom. For with the same measure that ye shall meet, withal it shall be measured to you again. But listen to this, it says, shall men give into your bosom. Now, you know, you can give to church, you can give to others, you can give, you can give to a charity, you can give to somebody just on the street. You know, somebody buys somebody a cup of coffee. There's an old fellow that hangs around the hospital there. Regina and I have stopped, and a fellow sitting over there by the free clinic in a wheelchair. And so one night when we were leaving the hospital, I think we had some French fries left over or something. We just got them, and we asked him if he wanted some, and he said, sure, I'll take them. Maybe gave him a hamburger, and I said, would you like something to drink? Well, Regina did. I was ready to just give him the food and go on, but she said, would you like something to drink? Then he said, I sure would. Boy, a latte would be nice. He put in an order, and we went over and got it for him and gave it to him. And, you know, you can give through the church. You can give through an organization, or however you want to give. The Bible says, give, and it shall be given unto you. That don't necessarily mean through the church. It is true that if you give through the church, it'll work that way. And I'm not asking for money. Don't get me wrong. I'm not fixing to hit you up I'm not going to tell you that I need this or I need that. You know, like Oral Roberts years ago when God held him hostage and he didn't get his $1 million, but he got his money. But I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it to help you. I'm in it to try to help you to see that there's principles, there's laws in this world that we live by, and we do have an instruction book, but if you give, he says, give and it shall be given to you. He talks about, press down, running over, good measure. And then it says, shall men give into your bosom. In other words, when you have a giving attitude, your circumstances are going to be such that the world gives back to you. Shall men give to your bosom? Your circumstances are going to be, and whatever you give. I mean, if you give friendliness, a man that has friends must show himself friendly. If it could be that nod or that smile or that handshake. What was it? I helped somebody the other day. Where was we? Oh, we went to Shoney's, and I forgot what we were doing, but Regina and I were out. Not Shoney's. Good grief, Shoney's. Shoney's has been long gone. We went to Cracker Barrel. I don't know why I said Shoney's, but we went to Cracker Barrel. And we were sitting down there, put in our order, which is the same every time. We eat the same thing, vegetable plate, 4 vegetables and cornbread. And while I was sitting there was a couple of tables away, there was a younger lady and an older lady. And the older lady was trying to get up, and she had a cane, and she had a hospital band on. She'd just been to the hospital and had just gotten out of the hospital and had tests. And you know how that is. You go, you can't eat before you go, and so she's hungry. She got her test done, and she was there eating, and when they got through, and she was having trouble getting up, and I went over and I said, can I help you? And she said, sure. And I helped her stand up, and then I patted her on the back and said, yeah, I've eaten too much too. And laughed, and she came over and we talked for a few minutes. But just to give a helping hand. If you'll give, circumstances will work out where people give to you. If you live your life where it's all about me, then everything around you is going to be all about them. You're not going to find anybody that's going to give to you. You're not going to find anybody who's going to want to help you. If you live your life trying to get all you want, life's not going to give you what you want. Life's going to give you what you are. And if you're a giver, that's what life's going to give you. If you're a friendly person, that's what life's going to give you. If you're a happy person, that's what life's going to give you. If you're a generous person, that's what life's going to give you. You just have to make the decisions to change. Now, I'll be honest with you, my outlook on life and my outlook on life and ministry has really taken a shot in the arm over the last few years because of some of the things that I've been listening to and some of the ideas as I've studied the Bible and as I've looked at some things and really this thing about self-help and motivation and motivational speaking and things like that. Now, I hadn't left the Bible. I've not changed anything that I believe there. But what I'm trying to get people to see is I've been locked into the Bible and preaching over here when in reality we can have a broader outreach and try to help more people. But if you'll give yourself to something, if you'll say, I'm going to read a self-help book, maybe just read a book. Read a book once a week. Most people don't read. say, well, they're poor people over there, they can't read. Well, that's not any worse than you who won't read. You can read and don't read. That's nothing wrong with them. When you can and don't, you're neglecting it. Now you say, well, I'm gonna change. That's it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna change. It's not gonna happen overnight. It's a slow process. You know, the Bible talks about line upon line upon line, here a little, there a little, and it's a slow process. It's a daily walk. Think about a habit. You know, somebody got a habit and they're trying to get rid of a habit, and something's in their life that shouldn't be there, and they think, well, I just need to give it up. Now, some people can give it up right then, but sometimes it takes a while. You didn't get that habit overnight. It might be that you're not going to get rid of it overnight. But if you'll slowly keep at it, just keep at it, just keep doing what's right day by day, work on that attitude, work on keeping that good attitude, work on keeping a positive attitude. If you'll keep working on it, you just keep, you know, when you find yourself and say, oh man, that thought came in here, I've done it, that thought came in here and I don't want that thought to be there, just banish the thought, you know. Now you can't keep a bird from landing on your head, but you can keep him from making a nest. He don't have to stay. Now, we took that tea and I set it up here earlier, and we said we're gonna make a change, and see it changed over time. And that's how it is when you decide, I'm going to change. Okay, thank you, Mr. Andrews. I got it. I'll set that so I remember to show you the tea. But, you know, we say, well, I want things to change. Well, it changed, but did you notice it changing up there? You know, it wasn't like a boom. All of a sudden, it's a big change. But as you walk with the Lord, if you're a Christian, if you walk with the Lord and you give your life to doing right, you decide, I'm gonna have a positive attitude. There's a great little book. I don't know if I can find it. I heard Tony Evans speaking about this book one time, and let's see if I can find it. I got it around here somewhere. Here it is. He talked about this little book, the 7-Day Mental Diet. I think it's like 14 pages, 18 pages. 22 pages. I mean, you can read it in 5 minutes. But what this book talks about is having a positive attitude, and when something bad comes in, you just don't let it stay. It may come in, you may consider it, but don't let it stay. It's a great book with some great ideas. And I've challenged my folks to, one Wednesday night a few weeks ago, we talked about it and talked about having a positive attitude. You know what a positive attitude is? It's living by faith. It's knowing that God's in control and it's all going to work out. Well, friend, this is Steve from the Meadow Drive Baptist Church. If I can help you with anything, get in touch with me. I'd love to be able to talk to you about the Lord. I'll be glad to sit down and talk with you. Anything might be going on in your life, something I can help you with, I'll be glad to do it. Marriage counseling, I'll be glad to do it. Marriage counseling. I heard a story about an old couple. They've been married for years, you know, and they was having a fuss and been fussing for a while, and so they thought they'd go in and see the preacher. So they went in and sat down there, and the old fella sitting there in his overalls, and preacher asked him, said, well, man, what's going on? He said, oh, you know how it is. These women, about the time you think you got them figured out, they go changing on you. And he asked the little grandmother, said, she's sitting there with a little pillbox hat, and he tried to talk to her. She's just crying away. And so, preacher thought, well, they need an illustration. And so he got up and went around his desk, and he leaned down there and he kissed Grandma right on the mouth. He turned to Granddad and said, she needs one of those every day for the rest of her life. Granddad said, well, I can get her in here on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but I got a part-time job the rest of the time. I believe it was a failure to communicate. Hey, friend, this is Steve Andrews from over at the Meadow Drive Baptist Church. Give us a call. Get in touch with us. We'd love to help you out if we can. Anything we can do. We got a food pantry there at the church, and we'll help you if we can. When we pray for you, whatever it is, you want to send us in some prayer requests, we'll be glad to pray for you, or whatever we can do to help you. But listen, keep that attitude up. Keep a good attitude. Don't let things get you down. Don't let things weigh you down. It's great in life. Life is great. It's great in life. Life is good. Life is great. Just keep your attitude up, and you'll enjoy it more every day. Say amen right there. God bless you, neighbor. Goodbye.